In the vast and lush expanse of the forest, where towering trees whispered secrets to the sky and gentle streams meandered through verdant meadows, there lived two creatures of vastly different dispositions, the boastful hare and the humble tortoise. The hare, with his sleek fur and swift bounds, pranced through the woods with an air of arrogance. He reveled in his speed, often boasting of his ability to outrun anyone in the forest. On the other hand, the tortoise, with his sturdy shell and steady gait, moved at a pace that seemed to mirror the flow of time itself. He believed in the power of persistence and patience, adhering to the age-old adage that slow and steady wins the race. One fine morning, as the sun cast its golden rays upon the forest floor, the hare and the tortoise found themselves on the same path, each going about their own business. The hare, spotting the tortoise plodding along, couldn't resist the opportunity to flaunt his speed. "Look at you, Tortoise!" he exclaimed, his voice tinged with mockery. "You move as slow as molasses. You'll never achieve anything with that sluggish pace of yours." The tortoise, unfazed by the hare's taunts, simply smiled and replied, "Perhaps not, dear hare, but I believe in the power of persistence and patience. Slow and steady wins the race, as they say." The hare, amused by the tortoise's response, decided to challenge him to a race. The other animals of the forest, intrigued by the prospect of such an unusual contest, quickly spread the word, and soon a crowd had gathered to witness the event. And so, with great anticipation, the hare and the tortoise stood at the starting line, their eyes fixed on the path that stretched out before them. The rules of the race were simple. The first to reach the distant oak tree at the edge of the forest would be declared the winner. At the signal, the hare bolted off with a burst of speed, his powerful legs propelling him forward with astonishing agility. In the blink of an eye, he was a mere blur, disappearing into the foliage ahead. The tortoise, meanwhile, began his journey with slow and measured steps, his determination unwavering despite the hare's impressive display of speed. As the hare raced ahead, he couldn't help but feel a sense of exhilaration at his own swiftness. With each leap, he left the tortoise farther and farther behind, convinced of his inevitable victory. And so, filled with confidence, he decided to take a moment to rest, confident that he had plenty of time to spare. Meanwhile, the tortoise continued on his journey, his progress steady and unyielding. Despite the distance that separated him from his fleet-footed competitor, he remained focused on the task at hand, his eyes fixed on the distant oak tree that marked the finish line. Hours passed, and still, the hare slept soundly beneath the shade of a towering oak, oblivious to the passage of time. Meanwhile, the tortoise pressed on, his determination unwavering despite the weariness that crept into his limbs. With each step, he drew closer and closer to his goal, his resolve unshaken by the hare's lead. And then, just as the sun began its descent towards the horizon, the hare awoke from his slumber, his senses sharpened by the realization that time was running out. With a start, he leaped to his feet and dashed towards the finish line, his heart pounding with the thrill of the chase. But as he approached the oak tree, he was met with a sight that filled him with disbelief. There, waiting patiently at the finish line, was the tortoise, his eyes twinkling with quiet satisfaction. "Slow and steady wins the race, my dear hare," the tortoise said with a smile, his voice carrying a wisdom that echoed through the silent forest. And so, as the animals of the forest gathered to witness the tortoise's victory, they marveled at the lesson that had unfolded before their eyes. For in the end, it was not the swiftness of the hare that prevailed, but the steady determination of the tortoise, a reminder that in the race of life, it is not always the fastest who emerge victorious, but those who possess the strength of will and the patience to endure.